sidetracked because my other show wanted to do a show. My whole panel, a panel from my other show wanted to do a show on my Facebook Live. So I wind up doing that show instead, and it was hilarious. We were supposed to be all on vacation, okay? And I get a call, and I get somebody to ask me to request someone to come and explain something to them, which is one of our councilmen. So they come on, and it was awesome. Um, and I just told, look, you guys, we got to go to bed, okay? But it was a great show, real. If you want to hear our show, you can go to my page, Salita McCall, on Facebook, and you'll hear the craziness that we talk. All right, so all right, I want to welcome you guys to HAPS. Okay, thank you again for allowing me to have this platform. If you guys definitely want to see what more HAPS has to offer, download the app and get to talking about it. And please, I'm asking you to support my work, okay? Support my work. I know I don't share a lot of things all over the place because I'm not ready. I like this intimate relationship we have here. When I get a little bit bigger, then I'll move forward and open up my Facebook and all the other streaming platforms I use or social media platforms that I use. But right now, I like YouTube and I like over here on Haps. That's what I'm using right now. You guys, you can go to my website, youcan'tclipmywings.com. You can also check us out on Facebook, You Can't Clip My Wings Facebook, and check out any of the information. I'm about motivation, I'm about lifting people up. I even talk about some things that really can stop us from growing, from pushing and doing the things that we need to get to that level that we want to be at. Okay, so again, I want to thank you guys. Welcome to my show so late at night. I'm not going to stay on long, but I definitely want to share some stuff with you. So before I get started, you guys, let me tell you what I'm doing that is totally not what I should be doing with my sleeping problem. I'm drinking coffee, okay, at this time of night. I want you to check out my mug, okay? Do you see what this mug says? It says, it's all the way around. You can't clip my wings. Now, let me tell you a little bit story about this. Being a disabled vet, I had an opportunity to go through a program, 30-day program that helped me find out what was really going on with me. And we got an opportunity to go to different activities. We went sailing. We went to one of the pottery barns where I was at. We went shopping. We did the whole 9 yards. And then we had a whole bunch of group sessions. Okay. And so I saw this and I said, I said, I'll make me a cup because I love cups. This is a big, huge cup. You can just soup in it and everything. Well, I can't draw worth a crap, right? So this is what my butterfly looks like. And it says on here, you can't clip my wings. And this cup constantly reminds me of what I've been through. And in the bottom of the cup, it actually has you can't clip my wings down at the bottom. You can't see it because I have coffee in it. Um, but yeah, it's been beat up and everything, but it's still holding up. And it's like I get spastic when people do anything else with my cup. I hate when other people touch my cup. Okay, I'm going to be looking bug eyed tonight. I know it. I know it. Well, anyway, so I'm here, you guys there hanging out. So, as you know, tomorrow's 4th of July, Independence Day for you guys. I don't celebrate it. It is not Independence Day for me. My Independence Day is Juneteenth, um, because it's during 17 in the year 1776 we were not free. My ancestors were not free, so there's no need for us to celebrate the 4th of July at all. So I don't celebrate that. So I definitely want to talk to you guys here in the United States because I know it's people all over the place. But in the United States, tomorrow is the 4th of July. As in about an hour, so it'd be 4th of July. So what I want to do is tonight, I'm over here on my page, you can clip my wings.com, and I want to definitely play the poem "You Can't Clip My Wings." Wow. I had wrote a poem in the middle in my book. I'm the Captain's Boy is the name of the book. Um, I never published it. I haven't published it yet. Okay, and one of the things in the book is a poem that I wrote, and I want you guys to kind of listen to it and tell me what you think. Okay, this is my poem. Okay, I wrote it. So let's see what we got here. My wings, no matter how hard you try, or no matter what type of tools you use, you can't clip my wings. You see, my wings are my drive, my motivation, my perseverance, my determination, and my strength. No, you can't clip my wings because they are unmovable. I won't let you take who I am and what I am away. You can't clip my wings. You can't stop me from soaring, from dreaming, from living, learning, and making a difference. You took advantage of me just once, and you attempted to clip my wings. I can't clip my wings, taking away my ability to say. Okay, so that is a version of my poem that I wrote saying you can't clip my wings. Um, I was like, really? Did I do that? It came out real nice. And in all actuality, there is another whole part to it, but I'm not going to play it. But I just want you guys to hear how I am so mesmerized by the ideal, you can't clip my wings, the movement behind it. That I think it's so important that we get a chance to do that. Now, I have another um, and if you go to my website, you probably can hear these too because these are recordings I did. I did a presentation. It was called the Runner's High, and I was like really like excited about doing it. I was kind of nervous because I had to do it for I had to do it for one of my speakers network that I belong to a member of. So I want to play a little bit of that, and I want you guys to kind of give me what you think it means. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna just get a minute to see who's gonna be able to come in here and look at, or to hang out with us today. Just gonna give a minute here. And I was so nervous, you guys. I was nervous, okay? Really nervous. Let me go ahead and I want to go ahead and let's go a little bit further up. Anxiety, a runner's high. So if you've never ran, and you know runners out there, you guys are very much so familiar with that. The runner's high it's a feeling, okay? It's a feeling of euphoria. Um, it's coupled with reduced anxiety and a lessened ability to feel pain. I remember being in the military many years ago. Um, I remember doing that run. We were at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and we ran a lot there. And there were so many times when we had to do those 4 and 5 mile runs, I was like, I'm going to give up. I am not doing this anymore. And that second wind would kick in. And when that second wind kicked in, oh boy, I took off. I was gone. And I was able to make it to either formation, my car, or the barracks. Those 3 choices I had when I finished with my run. So when we talk about the second win, we're going to talk about also 5 steps to the second win because I think that's very much so important. The 5 steps to the second win, or sorry, you guys, I'm sorry. Power on. I'm sorry. Destination. Bluetooth connected. That's your route. And number 4, arrive at the destination. And number 5 is get ready for that next run. Wow. Okay. Again, I want to say good morning. My name is Selena McCall, and I am the founder of Can't Clip My Wings.
And I also want to thank Black Speakers Network, Brian O's, for this opportunity. Now, let's talk about number one. Step number one, maintain your comfort in your stride. Once you have that second win, lean into it. It's yours. Own it. When you look back at all that you've been through, you understand that it will lead you to your destination. Keep your head up. Now, you might see down the road that it's a long way to go, but don't concentrate on that, you guys. Concentrate on that very next step that you're about to take. Okay? What are you going to do next? We, excuse me, sometimes become nervous, like I am. We try to make this run before, but always stop just before that second wind kicks in. When we stop, we're feeling unfulfilled and defeated. We can feel alone because you got to remember, everybody don't want to see you make this run. They don't want you to complete it. So they're going to definitely see you as a failure in their minds, but you're not. So what you need to concentrate on is your purpose. And that purpose is to get through this race. Okay? Now, what I did was in my book, In Search of You, which will be soon coming out, I took the word fear. You know, we always think of fear as something negative. It can be positive, but we think of it as something negative most of the time. So if we make it negative in our minds, then it's different. It makes you feel a little bit different. So what I said was, let's take the word fear and turn it into an acronym for firm elevation, access to elevation. Let me say that again. Firm elevation, access to restoration is what I wanted to say. I apologize for that. So let's say firm. Strongly felt and unlikely to change. Elevation is to level up so that you can rise above your situation and the mistakes you may have made. Access to. When you enter into your mindset where fear is no longer allowed, restoration. To think about taking back your power, restoring your mindset, knowing that you can survive anything that used to cause you fear. So it's vital that you take that second win. All right. Step number 2, establish your destination. Where are you going? What will it take for you to get there? Once you establish your destination, continue to stay focused. Do not be distracted. Again, let that second wind sink in. I know you're in pain. I know you might even feel a little discouraged, but you have to concentrate on the path you're taking and where you want to end up. You might want to be in a new city, a new job, a new business, a new relationship. You must try and catch that second wind. Strategize your route. Once you know where you want to go, plan the way. Do not get lost. Set a time of arrival. Prepare yourself for what if scenarios. What if I break my leg? What if the job that I'm going to is not going to be there? What if the relationship breaks up before I get to my destination? What if all these what ifs starts to come into play? But you have to prepare yourself for that. Still stay on your path. Okay? Keep your head up, your back straight, and plan accordingly. With a great plan, you can go anywhere and you can be prepared for all the setbacks. My friend always says to me, plan your work and work your plan. You might have to alter them or change them from time to time, but make sure that alternate route definitely leads you back to the same path that you're supposed to be on. Step number 4, arrive at your destination. Wow, you made it. Awesome. Is it everything you thought it would be? Everything you went through is only a blur now. You can see clearly. It's wonderful. You are so thankful that you stuck in there and took that second win. Excuse me. Now that you've arrived, the work is not over. You have to do what they call the cool down exercise. Anybody familiar with cool down exercises where you stretch? You know, you do that prior to you running. So now we have to do it after. Stretch, do some little stretching. But it's not over, because these cool down exercises gives you a feeling of taking back your power. This includes your confidence, your perception of yourself, your reflection of yourself, understanding that it is vital that you no longer feel not valued, not wanted, not trusted, not worthy, or inadequate. All those things start to dissipate. That means it's time to do some more assessing of your situation. This is just the beginning, you guys. We got a long way to go. So the next thing we do is we prepare for our next run. That is the last thing we do, because you know what? It's not over. And in Ecclesiastes 9:11 states, I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift, or to the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise, or wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned, but time and chance happens to them all. Now, when we think about preparing for that next run, we know that we have to make sure all the first 4 steps have been established and completed. Now, those steps prepare you for this last part, which is prepare for the next run. So whenever you have obstacles, whenever you have situations that come into your life that you feel that are preventing you from taking the plunge or taking a chance, think about that second win. Think about the ideal that you have the power. The power is yours, and nobody can take that away from you, no matter what. And each decision that you make is your decision. It's no one else's. It's your decision. So let's think about, and this is before we get to that preparing yourself for the next run. So let's think about all the things that we do in our lives. Every step that we take, every decision we make, every mistake we make. Everything is not going to be perfect. And I guess we have to get to that point where we understand that. Everything is not going to work out in our favor all the time. But can we be prepared for it? Do we have to crawl up in the ball when things don't work out the way that we want them to? Mm-mm. Do we cry? Because, it's a normal feeling. A humanistic feeling is to cry and get through that. And it's nothing wrong with that. But do we have to stay crying? We have a moment to cry. And I think it's wonderful because crying is a cleansing thing. We have a moment to be discouraged, but don't stay in that moment of discouragement. Don't. Move on, get up, and make things happen in your lives. And this goes for anybody. Anything can happen where you're on a path and everything is working out, and then something comes along and stops. It's not for you to give it up. It's for you to take that time, reevaluate what the situation is, and then make moves to make them to complete whatever it is that you were trying to do. There's always going to be obstacles. I wrote a book called How Does Your Garden Grow? I wrote it several years ago. And in there, I talk about the stumbling blocks, and I talk about the different type of stumbling blocks that can hinder us from growing and becoming the person we want to become. And those stumbling blocks could be you, could be family members, could be friends, could be different situations. And what we have to do is we got to kick those stumbling blocks out the way and keep moving forward and prepare ourselves for that next run. Because you got to remember, life is a race, and you either in it or you're out of it. And my thing is, I think we should always be in it, because life is what you make it, not what I make it, not what no one else makes it. It's what you make it. So getting to that next run, we have to prepare ourselves. And all that we've gone through prepares us to say, you know what? I did it this time. I can do it again. Just like I said earlier, when I was thinking about all the different different what we call physical training, PT, on all the different runs we went on, the road marches, even with the road marches, those 50-pound sacks on our backs, thinking that, oh, I can't do this. I'm stopping, bending over, and then I catch that second wind. And they're like, okay, I can get up this hill. I can come down this hill. I can go around that corner. And that's what we have to do. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to put our mindset together to concentrate, to know that that second win is there, and we're going to make it. We're going to make it to that next step. We're going to make it to that next mile, to that next 3 or 4 miles. We're going to do it. And it's all up to us. And it's such, like I said earlier, it is such a great feeling to know that I did it. It actually worked. I can actually do this. And it's nothing in your way stopping you from doing that. And I'm telling you guys, it is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So let's go ahead and prepare for that next run. And this is step number 5. Prepare yourself to make sure that if you are about to level up, you will need to continue to search and find you, because it's so important to know you, okay? Nobody can do that for you but you. They may be able to assist you, okay? But you have to do the work. Give yourself time, because time is very important. Give yourself time to think, to heal, to love, to grow, to make mistakes, and then learn from them. Time can be your friend or your enemy. It's all up to you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Giving yourself time to think, your thoughts can affect how you feel about yourself. How do you feel about what you want, where you're going, and why you're going? Thinking can also give you a reason to make changes in your life if they need be. Sometimes it's not needed. Sometimes if you want to get to that point.
All right. So if you've heard what I said with my runner's high presentation or speech, I hope you guys understood what I was saying when I said what I said. When I said what I said, what I said. about the ideal of how we run the race. And I definitely wanted to go back to the times when, I mean, just about every duty station I was at, there was no, you don't run, you don't march, you don't, because some duty stations, they have, I mean, all over the world, some people didn't do PT and they got out of shape. But everywhere I went, because of my job, physical training was part of what I had to do, running, marching, the whole 9 yards. So I didn't get a chance to, sit back behind the desk. I had to do PT like everybody else did. And lots of times we went on these 4 mile road marches, 5 mile road marches, the running, we could do 2 and 3 and 4 miles in one day. So we had to do all that. I'll tell you right now, because of all of that, those are the reasons why I have the problems I have. My knees are bad, my back is bad, because all of those things we had to do in the military. That was part of your job. That was part of your performance. That was also part of your promotion. So all those things had to be, they had set standards, and you had to meet those standards each time you did PT test, which we did a PT test every year. Um, Most of the time was usually around your anniversary of being in the military, or the time that you were in the military. It's your anniversary, so every year we do PT tests. But during that time, you're getting yourself exercised up, you're getting yourself ready for that PT test. Um, so those are standards that we have to meet every year. Um, and if we didn't meet those standards, then they put you on remedial PT. So you do everything you can not to be on remedial PT. So you pass, you do what you had to do. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I have a bad back. I have very bad knees. Okay. I'm all messed up now. I have arthritis in my knees. I have fibromyalgia. So I have a lot of these ailments because, I mean, hey, your body gets beat up. Unless you have a job where you don't have to worry about any of that. Well, I didn't have that opportunity. My job in the military was I was a fuel supply, I was a fuel supply clerk, which means what we did was we refueled anything that needed fuel. That's what I did. Helicopter, I said helicopter, aircrafts, um, no, not helicopters, no, Cobras. You guys have heard of Cobras. I don't know if some of the aircrafts I might mention, they don't even, they're not, because that was so long ago. I know when I was stationed at Fort Campbell, I refueled Chinooks. Yeah, I know you've ever seen a big, huge aircraft with the two propellers on them. Those are what we call Chinooks. They look like big old. We used to call them the big bus. I was in a unit that I was in at Fort Campbell was a unit of Chinooks. So we refueled those. We hot and cold refueled them. We set up fuel system supply points, which means that we had these big, huge hoses that we had to hump. They used to call it humping hoses. We had to put them on our shoulders and carry them out to the area wherever we're setting up our fuel system supply point and hook them up, male to female. We had to carry the generators. We did all that. So majority of my work that I did in the military was very, very physical. Okay. And it does after a while tear down your body. Another thing happens to us when we're dealing with fuel is your lead level goes up high. Some people had to change their military occupations because their lead levels kept going so high from inhaling the fuel all the time. So they had to change their what we call MOSs, which is military occupational skills. So they could no longer be um, in the MOS where they dealt with fuel. They had to go to something different because their lead levels got so high. I was fortunate I didn't have that problem, but I've had everything else. Doing all that, driving large trucks. I don't know if you know what a HEMIT is. It's that funny looking, looks like a bug, looks like a caterpillar to me. um, it was. it had these big, huge wheels on it. We had to refuel. We had a whole system on that truck, and we would go around and refill trucks, anything that needed fuel in it. That was our job to make sure. We got on top of it. We had to refuel it. We had to put fuel in it. We had to clean them out in the inside. So we did a lot of physical, physical work. I don't know how it is now, but when I was in, we did a lot of our own physical work because a lot of stuff that was available, that's probably available now, wasn't available back then. Um, so a lot of our work was very, very physical. And like I said, me and several other of my friends, we are like, our bodies are broken down because of all the heavy work we did, and it had to be done. Um, I remember during Desert Storm, if you guys remember Desert Storm, the first Gulf War. I remember there was a time when we were sitting out and we hadn't eaten, we were tired, and those aircrafts were coming in one behind the other, one behind the other. They finally bring us our meal. We try to sit down and eat, and they were coming in, so we didn't get a chance to eat our food. They had to bring us some more food once everything calmed down. So, and with that, we had to hot refuel, which means that the aircraft is still running, which is one of the dangerous ways of refueling an aircraft is when you hot refuel it, because any spark from the 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 hose, because you got to make sure everything is grounded. If it's not grounded properly, you could blow something up. So we always had to make sure all of that was in place. We had to make sure our fuel didn't have water in it, so we had to recirculate the fuel. It's called recirculating. It's letting it go around and around like a cycle, like a washing machine. Okay, to recirculate it. So that we could get, if there's any water or sediment, it's going to be able to go, um, round and round and round and round, recirculate. So we had to do that every morning when we came out to our trucks, so that any type of condensation or water wouldn't be in the fuel, because you can mess up a aircraft that way too. Um, so it was a lot of things that we had to do to prep for our day, to get our day started. And there was a lot of things that we had to do to make sure that we were doing everything that was safe. I had an opportunity also to run a gas station, an actual gas station, where my job was to make sure that there was enough fuel in the ground. Um, I had to take, I had to keep logs. I had to do a lot of the maintaining of we had what we call a POL yard, which is a petroleum, oil, and lubricant yard. So my job was to make sure that we had enough inventory where people would come, like the motor pools would come and get some of the products out of there. They had to be signed away. We had to keep a lot of paperwork. So I did that. Even that job wasn't even sitting on my butt, because the yard was far away. So I had to walk the yard because we had so much stuff. Our inventory was very large. So I had an opportunity to do many facets of my job. And it takes a toll on you. It really does. It takes a toll on you. And that's what happened with me. Um, so a lot of hard work to get you forward in your life is what you have to do, regardless of what you think you shouldn't do or what you think you couldn't do. You had to do it. Never in a million years would I think, after all of my military career, that I would be sitting here at 11:34 at night talking on hats, telling you guys about my luxurious life. But I'm telling you guys this because I'm trying to make sure you guys understand, um, that those are the things that we go through. And I love talking about my military career. I really do. Um, but there was good times and there were bad times. There was times when, like when I was stationed in Panama, and as you guys know, when we went after Noriega, um, my unit we were already sitting in the jungle for almost 30 days prior to anything going down. Um, and we're fighting scorpions. I said Scorpios. Same difference. We were fighting scorpions and one of the most poisonous snakes. We were fighting so many different things. Mosquitoes. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But it wasn't really bad. It was just the ideal that at that same time, the holidays were passing us by. Because we were in the field, we couldn't go home. There was no way you could go home. You were out in the field for 30 days prior, and then you didn't come home even after the bombing stopped. We couldn't go anywhere. We finally was able, when Operation Just Cause was over with, we were finally able to go back home. And at the time, I was a single parent, and my son was in Panama with me. And please don't get mad at me for what I'm about to say. At the time, we had what we called housekeepers and maids. Um, so my housekeeper was Spanish, which means, I mean, she was a Panamanian. So my son had to go home with her, because she was not allowed back on post until everything was over. They weren't letting any Panamanians on post at that time because couldn't trust anybody. They didn't know who was who. So my son had to wind up going to stay with her because he couldn't stay at home by himself because everybody else was out in the field during the time. So he wound up going down and staying with her during the time that we were out there. And finally he was able to come back post. So I mean, it's a lot, and like I said before, it takes a toll on your body. I'm proud to say that I'm 57 years old, and I've lived through a lot. I have friends who didn't make it through. I had friends that even after their military service, they didn't make it through, and that's the sad part about people that you grow to love and you do things with. They don't get through. They don't live through that afterwards. I've got several of my friends. When I was stationed in Germany, I lost. I mean, all the places I've stationed, I've lost somebody there. They're no longer here. So I am very blessed to still be here. And I keep saying it's got to be something that's keeping me here. God is keeping me here for something. Even in the midst of me making a decision that I was going to change my life or I wouldn't be here. Because we suffered from a lot of depression. We suffered from a lot of things that were going through our minds. And we weren't really prepared. When we got out, we were lost. A lot of us were lost. We didn't know what to do, how to do it, because most of us grew up in the military. I am one of those people. When I went in, I was a little girl. And I'm saying, even though I was a mother, I was a little girl. I hadn't experienced any of the things that I experienced in the military on the outside in my civilian world. I didn't experience any of that stuff. I didn't start experiencing that stuff till after I got in. And all the time I was in, you go through things, you go through different things, life changes, different people come in and out of your life, bad breakups, okay, all of that took place while I was in the military. And at the same time, I matured while I was in there. I went from this naive little girl to a woman. So by the time I got out, I knew how to be a woman, but the military had raised me. And I thought I was the only one until I talked to other people that had that same mindset. The military raises you, turns you into somebody who's very disciplined, turns you into somebody who's responsible, the whole nine yards. Because I'm not going to say I wasn't responsible because I had to be. I had a son, so I had to be responsible. But it was a lot of things that I didn't know in life that I learned while I was in the military. So when I got out, it was like they took my bags, gave me my bags, and just pushed me. Okay, there's the rest of the world for you. So I was lost for a long time. I didn't know where I was going to live. And I'm saying not to say that I'm homeless. I was saying at that time, I didn't know where I wanted to just lay my roots at that time. When I wind up in Kansas. And I'm glad I did go to Kansas. It was very nice. But I wound up going from Kansas. And it's another thing that the military does to you guys. I want to share this with you because And it may be not everybody, but the majority of the people that I know and I talk to tells me that when you get out the military and you've traveled a lot in the military, it's hard for you to stay still. And I'm telling you, I will not lie to you guys. Every 3 years, I was moving. Every 3 years from the time I got out the military, every 3 years, I was moving. And I finally stopped moving when I moved back to Louisiana. That's when I stopped moving. Um, and I was about to move again if I wouldn't have met my husband. That was my goal. I was about to leave again until I met my husband. And when I met my husband, that all of that stopped. But every 3 years during my time, once I got out of the military, I was moving. I couldn't stay still. I couldn't be stable. But because that was in my mind. That's what was left in my mind from all the different duty stations that I was at. We every 2 3 years we moved. Um, and so getting that out of my system and finally getting somewhere and get stable, getting married, buy a house, the whole 9 yards. Um, I was fine for a little bit, but I had that traveling in me to get up and go somewhere. I didn't stay still. Even then, I didn't stay still. I didn't move anywhere, but I stayed moving all the time. I was moving all the time. I was doing something. I was going somewhere. I was traveling. Um, and all of those things, come to find out, those are the backlashes of when you've been in the military and you've been through the trauma. um, Desert Storm. During the time we were Desert Storm, we were at King Fahd Airport before they moved us out into the desert. Um, I mean, diving under your cot with your helmet on. You're just listening to Scud missiles over and over again. You guys have, if you've never served the military and you've never been in any type of situation, um, a wartime or conflict, you could never understand. We watch it on TV. I mean, they were showing you guys all the different things. If you guys were watching during Desert Storm, you guys, it wasn't nothing like that. A lot of that was not what we were experiencing. I just told you several scenarios that we experienced while we were there. Um, Staying in an airport where there was no privacy, none, okay, other than when you went to the restroom. And I'm gonna tell you this, guys, and I'm not trying to be sexual. I'm not trying to uh, how do I want to say it? I'm not trying to insult anybody or make anybody feel uncomfortable who's here, but I'm going to tell you some incidents. During the time we were there, our hair was falling out. Our hair, African American women, hair was falling out. They had what we call sand mice or sand lice. And because all we had on our head was our helmets, our hair was actually falling out. So I wrote home to my mom and I said, Mom, can you send me some braiding hair? Because our hair is falling out. So she finally took them forever to get it to me, but finally I got it to me, and me and my girlfriends, she sent me enough where I could do more than one head with my hair, with the hair. So we braided all our hair up. And then, um, believe it or not, my undies start coming up missing. So I called her. Yeah, I called her and I said, Mom, my mom is so good with sewing. That's where I get all my creativity from. I said, Mom, you're going to have to make me some undies, right? And I'm thinking she's going to be making me just plain undies, right? My mom goes and make me silk lacy underwear, tiger print. Uh, I mean, all the it's like sexy underwear, right? And I'm like, Mom, no, you didn't. So and we had no other choice. We had to wash out our clothes, our t-shirts. I mean, we had no place to wash anything. So we had to do everything by hand. We take them to the shower and we wash our t-shirts out, because it was so hot there, it didn't take long for your stuff to dry at all. So this one time she sent me some and I was washing my clothes and I hung them up. I had to hang them up around my bunk. I went out to do a job like I was supposed to, refuel aircrafts, right? Come back, all my undies are gone. Do you hear me? I don't know what perverted person, what perverted soldier went. and went through and took me and my girlfriend's undies. And we were like, what the hell? What the hell? So the only underwear we had basically was probably some we had left in our bags and then some we had on. So we had to do it all over again. So we had to find other places to hang our stuff. So I started hanging my stuff, believe it or not, on my truck. I know everybody's not going to go out way out there to my truck. Okay. But we had to find other places to put our stuff because people were literally stealing our undies. Weird people, okay? So those are like moments we think about. And it's another sad moment that happened with us was you grow a friendship with all kinds of people, okay, and all kinds of different units out there. And there was these two guys that were with the Fifth Special Forces, and we would hang out with them, play cards, eat dinner with them. We just all had a good time together. Well, one of them had some issues at home we didn't know anything about. And one day we were sitting around I think we were sitting around our cots and we were talking, and one of them showed up. They usually come in two, usually be two of them. But it was only one. So he came to let us know that the other one had blew his head off in his foxhole because of some news he got from home. And we were so devastated because we weren't expecting that because they usually come over around the same time, they're together and we'd eat dinner, laugh, and have a good time. But that was gone. And we just was like, what did you just say? And he had blew his head off in a foxhole. Um, so those type of tragedies happen in that mist. And you got to look at how all of that can, how do I let this go through my mind and still function? How do they say that? What is the word I want to use, you guys? I'm trying to think of the word. Process. How do I process this? We just lost a good friend, you know? Um, Another death happened after I got out. I was working at our local VA, and this person that I was friends with in Germany, um, he was from Louisiana. He was from a little small town in Louisiana. And one of my veterans was from that area. So I asked the name. I gave him the last name. And I said, do you know this person? I said, do you know this last name? And he's like, yeah. He said, I think I know the mother. So he gave me the mother's phone number and I called her and I asked about my old buddy. And that's when she told me he had passed away. And I was like devastated. And just the other day, one of my other friends found a picture of him, and I was like, "Oh my God, this was my buddy. He was so funny. He was funny as I don't all get out." But he passed away. So you and I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like my life is so extraordinary. I'm just trying to share with you my experiences with how my military life um, kind of clashed with my civilian life and how it affected me. And you guys, I didn't know I had issues until when I got out and I moved to Kansas City, Kansas. And I couldn't understand why I wasn't sleeping at night. I couldn't understand how I could work an 8 hour a day job and still go home at the time, um, be a mom, make sure my son had his homework, and lay down to go to sleep and not get 1 ounce of sleep. If you guys don't know what type of situation that is a devastating situation to be in. And I'm up again for another 8 hours worth of work. And you couldn't even tell I was tired. And this was going on and on and on and on. So I finally got a chance um, to go to the VA in Kansas City. Um, and I told them what I was going through. They at the time didn't know what PTSD was. So a lot of us were walking around undiagnosed. because they really didn't know what to do with us. So I'm quite sure it was just not only me, it was other people, other soldiers that was doing the same thing I was doing. They didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know how to handle me. They didn't know, what else they could do for me. So eventually, when I moved, I kind of disconnected myself with the veteran hospital. So I didn't have anybody, to go to get help or anything when I moved to Michigan, um, which was a total nightmare, you guys. And I used to live in Saginaw when I was little, so that was crazy that I had such a bad time. So when I got there, um, I became after a while, me and my son became homeless. Yeah, became homeless. We wound up staying in a shelter. Um, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't drinking, none of that. I was too disciplined in my spirit, in my mind, and what I had a reputation in my mind. Okay, so there was no way that then I would show that to my son. So I would never do any of those things. So that wasn't the reason why I became homeless. I was lost. I was mentally, emotionally lost. And this is what PTSD does, post traumatic stress disorder does, especially when it goes on checked and you don't have anybody to go to. So I had got to the point where I was so disappointed, so down, so depressed. I made a plan, and I know you guys going to say, you know what, a coward, a real person would have went through it. But something stopped me, you guys. This is what my plan was, and I'm sharing this with you guys because I want you to understand how important it is for us to um, be able to be resilient in anything that we do. I made a plan when oh, after I moved from the shelter got us an apartment. Well, I was working a seasonal job at the time. My seasonal job ran out. So that was where all my finances, I didn't have any money, I didn't have anything. So I knew I was going to probably get kicked out of my apartment. That's what was in my mind. I'm quite sure I probably would have got helped, but that's how I saw everything. Everything was not working out. So to show you how divine intervention works. So my thing was, this is what was my plan in my mind. I was going to call my mom and I was going to put my son on the bus and send him back to Louisiana. And I had decided to kill myself. That was my plan. I'm serious. I had everything set up. But at the time, I was sitting on the floor and I was crying. And I was going through all my paperwork. I was going through all my paperwork on my military stuff, all my phone numbers. So I came upon a phone number of one of my best friends in the military's mother-in-law because I had gone to her house before. She lived in Galveston, Texas, so I had been to her house several times with my girlfriend's kids, and I called her and I said to her, I said, "Do you have uh, my friend's phone number?" And she said, "Yes, I do, Salita." And because I spoke and told her how she doing everything, and so she gave me the phone number, and I called her, and I had told my friend what I had planned to do, and my friend hit the roof. She was so mad at me. She said, "You better pack everything you got, get to your baby, and get in the car, and you better get here." So I wind up in Tennessee. That's how I wind up in Tennessee. So she helped me get up on my feet. But at the same time, you guys, I hadn't got any help with my PTSD because I was still going through some stuff. I was still, all the things that it does to you, I was still doing it, but I was able to maintain because one thing it does teach you, we can cry in private, but you have to act a certain way in public. So you didn't see me being depressed in public. You didn't see me do all those things that I'm sitting here talking to you about right now because I had to keep this facade up that everything was fine, you know? Um, so I didn't get the help I should have gotten when I was at Fort Campbell. I didn't seek any kind of help. Um, so finally, when I came to the decision, I worked in corrections. I worked all these different jobs. I worked, like when I was in Kansas, I worked in a meat factory. Never in a million years would I think I'd work in a meat factory. I worked in a meat factory. J.C. Penney's at the time had a big warehouse. I worked in the J.C. Penney's warehouse. So all my jobs I basically had were physical jobs. The only job that I remember that I sat on my butt was when I was working for an insurance company. And I loved that job. That's when I lived in Kansas. That was before, no, that was after I got the job working in Eckridge Farms meat plant. I know how hot dogs are made. Yeah, and I know how bologna's are made. I'm sorry, but I do. So during that time, so finally, I didn't really get the help that I needed until I moved back to Louisiana, and that was back in '99. And I started seeing a psychiatrist, and I started seeing a psychologist, and they still didn't have me diagnosed properly. Okay, I still was going through all the things I was going through, but at least I had somebody to talk to. And what I didn't realize is, and you guys, um, military sexual trauma is not a joke. It actually is something. It is a traumatic thing. Um, how do I want to say this? When I was stationed in Panama, and I don't mind telling my story, I don't hide my story. Matter of fact, I've told my story many times because I want people to know there's no need for me to be ashamed. That's over and done with. The shame and blaming myself for what happened to me is over with, so I can talk about it. Now, this happened when I was at Fort Clayton, Panama, and it was prior to Operation Just Cause. Um, and at the time, my son hadn't come to Panama yet. I hadn't sent for him yet because I had just got to Panama. So I had to have a time period before I could send for him. So once I got there, and excuse me, and I learned the ropes and stuff, and I kind of stayed to myself because I didn't know anybody in this unit. Because sometimes people travel in the same place you do, and you might know them from another unit you were in. Well, it wasn't that. I didn't get that at this unit at all. I didn't know any of these people. And for the first 6 months of me being in my unit, I was the only female, and which was very interesting. And let me say, the only female in my platoon, okay, which we call POL, which is petroleum, oil, and lubricant platoon, because I refueled aircrafts for a living in the military. Fuel system supply. I was a fuels clerk. Um, so I was the only female in my platoon, not my unit, but in my platoon for about 6 months. I think it was about 6 months. So um sometimes the guys felt so uncomfortable because they couldn't talk the way they wanted to. But at the time, you don't see it as them being, you don't see it as them talking what we call sexual harassment at the time because everybody talked that way. So I would tell them, you guys don't change how you do things because I'm here. This is not my first duty station. I've been other places. Okay, so I don't want to make, in my mind always was, I never wanted to make anybody else feel uncomfortable. I would sacrifice my uncomfortability for somebody else's. Okay, that's what I usually do. So I never wanted them to feel like they couldn't talk about anything around me. Well, I wasn't expecting that somebody from another platoon, which was supply platoon, would take advantage and do what happened to me while I was stationed Fort Clayton. At the time, I was living in the barracks because I hadn't got on housing. I wasn't on housing, so I didn't live in housing. I was still in the barracks, and I had a roommate, but my roommate got sent back to the states. So I come to find out she wasn't coming back. So I had this big two-man room to myself. I had everything in it. I set my room up like it was my little apartment, right? And so this one time, this person knocked on my door, And I had just taken a shower. Was getting ready to get into bed. I don't know what else. I think I had wrote letters, and I was sitting on my bed. I was about to lay down to go to sleep. So knocked on my door, and I'm thinking, I knew the person, and I'm like, okay, I opened up the door. Well, that person was drunk, and what I should have done was close my door and lock it. But he had a plate in his hand and he said he wanted to warm it up. I guess everybody knew I had a microwave. Okay. So I was like, okay, like being innocent, being slow in the mind. I'm like, okay, come on in. I'll let you put it in there. I said, but you're going to have, sit over that way. And when your food finish warming up, you get your, take yourself to your room or whatever. So he dropped his beer, which should have been a signal for me. But I'm telling you guys, when you're innocent, you really are, or you're naive, you can be very naive. I had no, because these people I hung out before, and no one has ever been disrespectful to me in any way. So I wasn't expecting what took place. So I let him warm up his food. And I told him, well, you're going to have to go. So I went to sit back on my bed, and that's when he pounced. And when he pounced, that was it. Um, I'm going to try not to. So he told me, this is what he said to me. He kept saying to me. And at first, I didn't understand what it was when he said it. But when it really hit me, I realized what he was telling me. He said, you can't tell anybody. He said, they're not going to believe. You can tell anybody you want. That's what he said. Nobody's going to believe you because I'm the captain's boy. And that's what I named my book that I was going to tell this story to. I was going to tell the story about. It's like, and I was thinking to myself, what did he mean? What I found out was when you're in the military, you're not only doing your job, you also have extra curricular activities. And some of them is doing competitions, running, all kinds of sports you can do and win trophies for your units and your companies. Well, that's what he was. He won a lot of different awards, athletic awards for our company. I didn't know that till later on. So he was letting me know that if I would have went to the captain wouldn't believe what I said because he had special privilege. So I'm wondering afterwards, was he doing this to everybody and telling, threatening all the other females? It's come to find out, I don't know if he was telling them exactly that, but he had done the same thing to other females in the unit. And it was like any of the new girls come in, this was happening to. And this changed my life. It changed my life from my relationships, everything. And he had the audacity, and to me, he had the audacity to say to me, I apologize. No, I just told him like this. I said, you stay the F, and I cussed F away from me for as long as I'm in this unit. You stay the F away from me. I said, I don't want to have anything to say to you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. And it's so good that we were in different platoons. He was in supply and I was in fuel. So I didn't have to interact with him, but I did have to work in the same motor pool. I had to be around him because he was in my unit, you know, and it never was the same for me. And I never thought that something like that would take place around the most protected people. We're the protected people. We're the ones that we never think our own, the people who's going to save our life in a wartime situation would do that. Our buddies, our people that we sleep and eat and talk and laugh with, never in a million years would we think that they would do that. Well, the military is full of it. It's full of sexual harassment, sexual molestation, rape. It's full of it. Don't ever let anybody make it sound like the red, white, and blue, and they stand strong, and they're disciplined. No, a lot of that is not true. It's not true, you guys. Take it from someone who went through it. It's not true. You have people who hide things, you have captains, you have sergeants that literally do things and get away with it, and nobody says anything. It's no different than being out in the civilian. But like I said, um, I blamed myself for many, many years. Okay, for majority of my adult life after I got out the military, I blamed myself for what happened to me. It was my fault, and I had to realize. It took me a long, long time to get to the point where I realized this wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just trying to help, and it changed my life. I had terrible relationships. I clung to anybody. I was in abusive relationships. When I say abusive, I'm not talking about always physical. I'm talking about mental and emotional abuse. I and I'm being straightforward, and I'm letting all this out to you guys. You don't even know me from Adam. I've only done what 3 shows on here, but I'm sharing this with you guys so you'll understand. I would beg men to stay with me. I didn't understand. And at the same time, I wasn't getting any treatment, no counseling, no nothing. But I was going through pure hell. And I would be with guys who were very abusive and that would lie in my face, would cheat on me. I mean, those were the guys that I kept attracting in my life. Like, what the hell? So it just took me some time where I stepped back and said, no relationships, no nothing. I'm going to concentrate on other things. And that's when I realized that I don't have to be with anybody. I could do this by myself. And when I'm not saying that I could, I'm not saying that I don't need anybody. I just knew that I needed to change me. And the only way I could do that is to get out of these toxic relationships. And everybody's like, well, you didn't marry anybody in the military? No, I had no desire to marry anybody in the military. I've seen some things, okay? I've witnessed some things. So marrying somebody in the military was never, I was promised, but he was a total liar. He lied. He was a pathological liar. And I would catch him in the lies, okay? So that was never going to happen. And I think too, this affected why I got married so late in life. I was 38 years old when I got married, and my son was 18. So I waited that long. I had no desire to, and I had this other thing. Let me tell you another thing that goes along. I did not think I deserved to be married. Yes, that was one of the reasons why. I didn't think I deserved it because I was still battling a lot of my insecurities, my self esteem, all of that was still kicking in. And some of the people who knew me back then see me now, they would be shocked because I was a whole different person. I was still mouthy, okay? I still got a smart, sarcastic mouth. That's just who I am. I get it from my mom. But the me now, I was not this person. I was not this person. But it took me years to get where I felt better about myself. And I still struggle from time to time. It comes back. I have my flashbacks, I have my moments, but I'm glad I got through it. Because sometimes things have to happen to you in order for you to level yourself up. I'm not saying that this happened to me because of that. I'm just saying something, and you have to know when you've had enough. You have to know when you're going to stop beating yourself up. Like I had to come to the point where I no longer wanted to beat myself up. It was killing me. I told you earlier that I planned to kill myself. I planned it out because I felt like, okay, another failure. I couldn't protect myself. And now here I go again. I can't even take care of myself. I can't take care of me or my kid. That was the things that was going through my head. I had no idea where these terrible thoughts were coming from. I knew where they were coming from, but I didn't know how to get rid of them until I actually got help. And I am not ashamed that I got the help that I got. And I still get the help that I need. But it took me coming back to Louisiana to get the help that I needed. And I'm glad that I did. But my life was crazy. And I met some wonderful people and I met some bad people. But I never turned to drugs or drinking because a lot of people do. A lot of people have a lot of different problems. Some people have addictive personalities that they get addicted to alcohol and drugs, and they go through a lot. But I never, and I think my son was the reason why I had to stay focused, and I had to have in the back of my head that no, Salita, you can't have that as a reputation, that you do these things. And I think that's what kept me not being a person that got addicted to anything. I went through hell and I should have drank. If anything, I should have drank, but I didn't. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do any of that. And I'm glad that I didn't. I think I would have had a harder time. I might not even still be here if I would have picked up one of those devastating habits. And plus, I had friends around me where I was in church, it kept me kind of balanced in some ways. The people that I met after I got out the military, especially when I was in Tennessee, I met some wonderful people that actually helped. And it was so crazy that when I moved back to Tennessee and my friend helped me get up on my feet and everything, I got a job, I was working. And I was able to go back to school. I went to school, not back to school, but I went to school. I went to business college. I went to back business college when I was in Kansas, and then I turned around and went again when I moved back to Clarksville. I lived in Clarksville, Tennessee, and I went and I took the state test, and I passed my test, and I became a correction officer, and I worked in there. Um, and I met some wonderful people while I was working there, and that's when I um, decided that, okay, I want to go home. And I wind up coming back to Louisiana. I say home. Well, I guess it is because I've been away from New York for years. So I guess Louisiana would be my home. My mom was originally from here, from Louisiana. And so I came back here and I was about to leave again because I was offered my correction officer job back. When I say back, because I quit to move back home. And it's like, come on back. We need you. Come on back. And I decided that's when I met my husband and I wind up staying. And I've been here now, what is it, 23 years now? About 23 years. So, and like I said, I've met a lot of people. I've been through a lot and I've been through group therapy. I've done all kinds of stuff. We were talking about mindfulness. We were talking, the other night we had mindfulness. We talked about meditation, all of that. I've gone through all of that cognitive behavior therapy. I've done all of that. And here I am now. I'm a life coach. I have my master's. I have my bachelor's and my master's. Never in a million years would I think that I would be at this point in my life because I couldn't give up anymore. No matter how many bad things happened to me after I've been through all that, I couldn't give up. I kept fighting. I kept making sure that I kept my mind because I'm not a type person where I want people to see me as a failure. So I had to change my whole perception of me. Who am me? Who am I? So when I changed my whole perception of me, oh my God, it was a whole different ball game. It was a whole different Oh, okay. And I'm so glad I did. I am so glad I changed. And I still work on some things. Everything is far from perfect in my life. You have no idea what I've been through in the last 2 years, okay? Life will snap you. Look, let me tell you something. Don't get so high up there because life got a way to slap you upside your head and say, hold up. You remember where you came from? Because I think you done forgot. That's what life will do to you. And when life does that to you, mm, it'll bring you back where you belong. Because sometimes we do. We get high and mighty, highfalutin, like we better, like we ain't did nothing bad in our lives. We get like that sometimes. But boy, oh boy, life can definitely change that big time. And you scrambling trying to figure out what the hell happened. So and that's why in search of you, because I had some life changing events happen to me in the past 2 years. And either you're going to grow or you're going to say the same thing. You're going to stay the same and you're going to be in that cycle. And I refuse, I'm too strong of a person to be in that cycle. I want better. And I've had my moments where I thought that I couldn't do something. And I cry. And I'm like, I gotta do it. This has gotta happen no matter what. I gotta keep doing it. I gotta keep doing it. And I got through it. So wow. I hope I didn't give you too much. I hope I didn't give you too much. But I wanted to share that with you guys, especially after I played You Missed the Poem, You Can't Clip My Wings. And when I talked about the runner's high, that was me. That runner's high was me. That was me. And you can't give up. And and there's moments where I feel like I want to give up. I do. I mean, like, forget all this. Forget trying to motivate people. Forget all this. Forget teaching this and teaching that. Forget all that. I'm going to go do my thing. But when you have a purpose, when you have a purpose and you know your purpose, you can't lag. Now, you can sit back every now and then because you need to take a break. But when you have a purpose and a calling on your life, okay, you can't. You can't give up. You can't, no matter what. No matter how hard I want to just throw in the towel, I can't do it. Last night, for instance, and I mentioned it earlier, last night, I have another show I do, and I do it on Facebook Live. And I think I mentioned this to you guys. Universal Collective Network is the name of our network. And one of the shows we do is Can We Be Frank show. Okay. And we talk about politics, local politics. We talk about history. We talk about all kinds of stuff, things that pertain to African Americans. That's who I know more about than anything. And we have discussions. We have panel. I have a panel that we use, and every 2 weeks, every other week, we have a councilman that comes on our show and he gives us an update of what's going on when we have a city council meeting. Because he's very good at explaining things that people probably don't see because we have a channel that you can watch the city council meetings on. But if they want a better understanding what happened, he comes on the show and he breaks down the city council meetings for everybody. And everybody be looking forward to it, and they ask questions and stuff. So I have a panel, and my panel is so funny, and I love my panel. So we're supposed to be on vacation as of June 26th. We went on vacation where we don't do the show. We do the show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we're supposed to be on vacation, right? So a situation happened at the last city council meeting, the one who just this past Tuesday, and I'm like, we're not, we're on vacation. So I get a call, I get a text, and like, we need this explained to us. So I'm like, you guys, I just told you guys we're on vacation. What are y'all talking about? We're not doing a show. Like, no, we really need Councilman to come on here and explain this to us. And because we're good friends, the councilman didn't have a problem with it. So he laughed. He thought it was funny that they would call after I had already announced that we were on vacation. So so that was the reason why I didn't come on here last night because I was actually doing another show. My show starts at 9:30, and we didn't get off till almost after midnight, um, Central Standard Time. Yeah. So it was so funny because it actually turned out to be a real good show, and we laughed and had a good time last night. So I wanted to do the show with you guys. I wanted to do a show for last night over here on Haps. Okay, you guys sponsor me, okay? Yeah. Um I wanted to do a show over here, but I couldn't do it because I was doing a show over there and their priority. Not really priority, but I mean, I have to take care of my panel. My panel is my panel. And we've been together 5 years. I just know y'all. Just starting to know who y'all are. You know what I'm saying? But we've been together for 5 years. My panel is so funny. Oh, so funny. We've protested together. Activism together. We do all that kind of stuff. We go to city council meetings. I've been so political that I got kicked out of a city council meeting. Oh man, we've been through so much together. And so after 5 years, I have to, if they say they want to do a show, I got to do a show. So, and that's the dedication, and we know that we've helped a lot of people with the information that we share on our shows, without a doubt. But I know I needed a break. We needed a break. And that's why we're off to July 26th. And this gives me another opportunity to get a lot done over on this end, building up my audience over here, my listening audience over here, um, on this end over here. So yeah, I've been doing this stuff, you guys. Man, I've been doing this for a long time. I would come on and do a show even when I'm not even feeling like I need to do a show, or I didn't feel like it was in me. But if I needed to get some info out, I'm going to do a show to get that info out. Um, and I will share with you guys from time to time. I will bring up some of my different shows I'll play on here. Some of my pre-recorded shows that I've done a while back. You guys can hear a lot of information I share with everybody, business, relationship information. I share all kinds of stuff, and I don't mind all kind of issues, our attitudes, all that. Okay, I share all that because I think it's important for us to know that and know how to interact with each other. Our communication skills can be so terrible, you know. Um, and I can talk to anybody. I go anywhere. I don't care if you don't like me or whatever. If there's a conversation, I can talk. And if I do know, I'd rather for you tell me that you don't like me, so I know how to handle you. But if I have to work with you, I'll get the job done. I have no problem with that. But I have the gift of gab. As you can see, I've been talking for the last hour, almost the last hour. Played a couple of things for you guys to hear. So I want to say, you guys, I am going to go to bed. It's a Saturday night. Yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm too old. I don't go out. I don't do any of that drinking and all that. I don't do any of that. I relax. Now, if I go out of town, I go places because my girlfriends won't let me sit at home and look crazy. They'll take me places and stuff. But overall, most of the time I'm home watching TV, learning something, reading something, listening to something. Okay. And because I got to get this other book out, you guys, too. So I want to say thank you guys for hanging out with me. I am Salita, and I will be back maybe tomorrow night. I know for sure I can't do it because I have to hit the road. I'm going to go take care of a friend. So I probably won't do a show again. Maybe Monday night. I might come back over here on Monday night. Maybe. Depends on how everything works out. So, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Please subscribe. I hope what I've said to you helped you. I've told you a lot about me on our third date. I already told you most everything about me. Okay. So when you see me on here, you're like, that's that girl. She's, yeah. And if you want me to share some more military stories with you, if I can remember them, I don't mind. I'll share them. My issue is I can't remember a lot of stuff like I used to because it's been so long. But if you want me to share some other stories, if you have any questions you want to ask me, Salita B. McCall at gmail.com. You can hit me up. I'll answer your questions. If you don't want to ask me on here, definitely hit me up on my email. Any information that you want to share with me, please feel free to share it. If you want me to share information that you told me, let me know. I'll do that too. You guys, like I said before, I'm looking forward to this being a great platform for me. I've tried so many platforms and I like this one out of all so far, which is awesome, you know? Um, I know it would be nice if HAPS would give us more leeway. I know I'm new, being a newcomer. I know I have to wait my time. I know I have to build up my audience, but definitely. Um, but you can check me out over on Facebook if you want to. I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. Okay. Um, so I want to say thank you guys for hanging out. Share this video to anybody you want. Okay. All right. So you guys have a nice day or evening. Oh, you know what? It's already 12:26 on Central Standard Time. Okay, I don't know what time it is where you're at, but it's 12:26 here. I am going to let me say this: I drunk that coffee, and I know I am not about to go to sleep. See, you see my cup. Just in case you guys didn't see this, this is my cup. You can't clip my wings. Okay, this is my cup. Then down in the inside of the cup, you can't see because I got coffee and it's cold. It's got you can't clip my wings down in inside of it. I designed it that way. This is my favorite cup. I said earlier, I will kill anybody who touch my cup because this is my cup. This cup means a lot to me. This cup was made at a time in my life where they was discovering what the hell was wrong with me. So this cup means a lot to me. I'm sorry. But anyway, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. You guys have a great night. Have a great 4th of July if you celebrate it. Um, be careful, stay safe, and bye bye.